Hello everyone, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to the World Championships, the 2017 World Championships for Panzer Corps, which is being put on by Slytherin and Matrix Games. I played the first round. It was three videos. Played the first round against a player called Bluefin. In this battle, I'll be playing against Agent J23. And this battle will be looking at the Summer Offensive. So this will be the German invasion of the Soviet Union in the summer of 1941. I will be playing from the side of the Germans and attempting to conquer all but two, or all of them, all of the objective points on this map you can see here in front of you. So there appear to be three objectives kind of up front, one in the woods here, and then there's sort of two cities in the center and north, and then there's a couple of roadways that lead into the hinterland of Russia that have an additional, I believe, 4 objective points. I have to take 6 different cities in order to win a minor victory, or all 8 in order to win a major victory. The Russians just have to hold me off, but again, this is 1941, so the Germans should have a substantial edge in quantitative capabilities against the Russians, although the Russians may have some qualitative advantages in the game as well. This is turn 1. This is the first video in this series. I'm going to try and put these videos out pretty regularly, as you see my scout car run into some Russian mines, which are just great. I'm going to try and put this series out pretty regularly. I imagine this will be 3 or 4 parts for this episode, similar to the last one, and I will try, if not one per day, then one every other day. I know I had some comments from people who said, hey, sometimes it's hard to follow this kind of a series when you're playing through a match, like a single match or a single battle, and you break the videos up, you know, the way I did the previous one, which is over the course of a couple of weeks. So this week will largely be Panzer Corps content, you know, either every day or every other day throughout the week. I'll still mix in some Ultimate General Civil War, you know, just without either in between or at the end of the week. I'm also still working on the Cold Waters series. I'm returning to that as we get to the American nuke boats. It did require me to do a little bit of research. I've been reading a book on Hyman Rickover, who was the commander, well, not commander, but who was sort of the brainchild of the American Navy. So I've been doing a bit of work to kind of prep for this series, rebooting, if you will. I do need to play some Cold Waters to get some footage, but I am also looking to see if there's a mod. I haven't seen anything to see if there's a mod that might include some of the other early U.S. nuke boats, like the Nautilus, for example. I doubt there would be, because I don't think that boat was still active or in service at the time of 1968 when the hypothetical campaign takes place, but I'm not sure, so I'm looking into that. With that being said, that's enough of me rambling about other videos. So again, Ultimate General Civil War and Cold Waters will continue, but the next couple of days we're going to really be heavily focused on Panzer Corps, either every day or every other day, and I know I'm repeating myself. Back to this video. This is, again, the first video looking at the 2017 Multiplayer World Championship for Panzer Corps, the second round of the tournament. It's a 64-person tournament, so 64 people signed up for the competition. I won the first round that I was in against Bluefin, which advanced me to the round of 32. We're into the final 32 players in the 2017 Multiplayer World Championship, and we're fighting Agent J23. You can see right now I've decided this particular battle, it looks like my units were all assigned where they were located. So in the last battle, which was the Battle of the Bocage, we had our troops, it was sort of free reign. You could put your troops wherever you wanted. In this particular battle, the German troops are already pre-positioned on turn 1. I didn't have like a pre-battle turn where I could position my forces. That's okay, though, because I've got quite a bit of money to bring in some reserves, so it's not like I'm just limited to what was on the map at the start, and that's what I'm doing right now, as I'm looking at buying some additional forces. I moved my other forces first and kind of got my troops going, and now I'm looking at buying some additional units to kind of strengthen myself up. So I've bought a couple of self-propelled artillery guns. The German self-propelled artillery guns are not great in the sense that they don't have a ton of ammunition in the way that like the Sherman tank did in the Battle of Bocage. But they are very mobile, which I think will be really important in this scenario because we're going to have to drive deep into Russia to try and, win this battle. It's a relatively large map. And I'm buying some air units because, again, I need some mobile artillery. So having some Stukas with me should allow me to have a good deal of mobile artillery. The self-propelled guns will be rapidly moving forward with the front. And then the Stukas can kind of move forward and hit targets in the back that maybe my artillery can't reach, or just kind of help support the infantry, but be really mobile so they can shift between wings. So my intention is to have kind of a northern thrust and a southern thrust. So I'm divvying my forces up that way. You can see I've got about 5 units here in the north. It seems like the enemy's a little bit weaker here. And then I've got kind of the rest of my forces scattered out here in the south. Now there is one objective here in the forests that you can see I'm in the process of attacking. And my intention, as you can see, we're about to turn it over to Agent for his first turn. But my intention is to take this forest hex here in the south and then shift north to reduce this city here. So rather than racing past the city and into the deep part of Russia, I don't want to split my forces into 3 wings. I think I'd be too diluted, if you will. I don't think I would have enough strength to effectively attack in 3 places at once. So my intention is going to be to take this forested area here in the south, shift north, take this city up here, kind of in the middle here, and then Opach, or whatever it's called, and then drive east along the roadway. I'm hoping that I can kind of shock and awe these guys into submission and deal with them that way. Now, the positive here in this first turn is the enemy did launch some counterattacks. It actually did some substantial damage to my troops here in this wooded area. But the nice thing is that he launched it with 2 armored units and then 1 infantry unit. So I was able to bring these Stukas in, a couple of the newly purchased ones as well, and really hit him hard with my weapons. And hopefully this hex will fall this turn. Now, my infantry did lose pretty heavily, which was not ideal. You can see here my cavalry also lost very heavily. But my hope is that I can shift some of these forces south, destroy what limited Russian armor there is here. I'm hoping there's not too much in the way of Russian armor, and open up the way to shifting north. There's a minefield in my way up here, kind of along this roadway near the north, so I may have to kind of come from the southern approach, which involves eliminating this wooded hex first. So you can see here, I'm just trying to figure out what I want to move south. Do I want to go with my cavalry? I've kind of suppressed the enemy infantry with my artillery, and you can actually see here that we just finished off the enemy, or not finished, but drove the enemy infantry back, and there we destroyed them. So that 1 infantry unit of ours that took really heavy casualties still was able to take the objective, and we didn't actually have to commit all of our forces to that city. Meanwhile, the enemy does have a bit of artillery around this objective. It's just going to make it a little bit more difficult to take with all of these heavy guns. But you can see here as I move east, there is an objective there. I could try and drive east and maybe ignore this enemy objective. It could be kind of a stumbling block. It could turn into a bit of a sinkhole if the enemy is very heavily dug in. So I'm still thinking we'll turn north, but haven't 100% made up my mind. You can see the enemy on this river line here on the northern objective did pull back a little bit to set up a defensive position around this town. You can see they have 1 artillery unit. They also have, I believe, an air unit or anti-air unit, but they pulled them back rapidly, so they're in a kind of a mobilized state. If you move units that have like trucks or APCs in support, and you move them a long distance, they will automatically mount up onto these trucks, and then you can't as effectively use them the following turn. Just kind of trying to figure out where I want to commit my forces. Obviously, if I'm moving my artillery forward, it's going to end up in a truck. I don't want to leave it exposed where an enemy unit can attack it and hurt it. On the flip side, I'm kind of trying to figure out what to do with my air units here in the south, because the enemy does have some strong anti-air defenses in place, and I'm trying to make sure that I am not exposing my air units to undue destruction here. I don't really have a good way to get these recon troops into position. I kind of want to reduce this minefield, but I don't have any engineers up here either that can really do that. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and fly my fighters over here adjacent to my Stukas in an effort to get them some fighter cover. I'm assuming the Russians have some air units around here somewhere. So I'm going to make sure that those units aren't just sitting out there by themselves, because while the anti-air can obviously hurt your air units, enemy fighters can have a field day with the Stuka, which is very vulnerable as we move on to turn 3 now in this battle here. The battle does last 20 turns, so it's quite a long engagement, and we'll see how everything plays out here. Damn, these are like, I don't know if they're the equivalent of the Stug. I think it's called the AT-1, and they're hitting me with these damn things all over here, north and south. He must have bought a lot of these things, and these seem to be very effective against my armor. You know, they just took out half of that tank's hit points, and if I put my mouse over it, it says the best I can do in an engagement against him is losing the rest of my unit without inflicting casualties, so that's a bit of a waste. I'm gonna try and avoid getting my guy killed. I'd love to have my Stuka up there to kind of finish him off. I can fly him up there. He's a little bit low on fuel, though. You can see the little red hexes to the right mean that he'll have to replenish his ammunition, or not ammunition, his fuel supply next turn. And there you can see we dropped some bombs, took a little bit of damage, but did inflict some casualties on him. Not sure where the best place is to go. This thing looks like it's going to be, you know, sent into a meat grinder no matter what it does. Maybe we bring our infantry. It looks like our infantry is better against that unit. So, but I don't want to know if I want to divert my attack. I really don't want to get, you know, stuck in a long, protracted conflict in either of these cities. But I also don't want to leave my flank open to enemy tanks, you know, attacking us. So there you go. We were able to push him back. We didn't destroy him, but we were able to push him back with an attack there. Unfortunately, he's not in range of our other Stukas in the area. Now, we did fly our other Stuka up here to attack this unit, and you can see we took out 6 of his hit points. So a successful attack there, I would say. This guy took a little bit of damage in the last turn, so I'm just going to kind of have him sit back and replenish his strength while our artillery does some counter battery work against the enemy artillery. And you can see again there a big victory in that artillery barrage, taking out half the enemy's strength. This anti-tank unit appears to be damaged pretty substantially by our air unit, so we'll go ahead and attack him with these 5 tanks that we just moved south. We'll attack him with both our infantry and our armor, and you can see here he's stubborn. He's staying alive. He's not dead yet. Try and use our scout car against him to finish him off, and still he won't die. So again, this is really diverting my effort here against an enemy that's inflicting a lot of damage on me. All of my units took some damage. He was very stubborn in killing. This seems to be a very effective enemy unit, and I'm kind of worried. It seems like this guy might know what he's doing, and you know, given the sheer number of these AT-1s that we've seen, if he does know what he's doing, I may be in some trouble. Meanwhile, I've decided to advance my armored unit here toward the one objective, just to see what might be out there. You can see here we used the Stuka in the south against it and destroyed him. We'll go ahead and keep our air cover over him. Meanwhile, we'll go ahead and keep our other fighter unit in front of this guy, because he can actually strafe the AT-1 and inflict some casualties there as well, despite taking some damage himself. So the Stuka in the center is without air cover. The Stuka in the north and the south have air cover, so hopefully we haven't seen enemy fighters yet. I'm sure they're around somewhere, but we'll have to keep moving with all of these objectives we have to take. Again, you know, we're not bogged down yet. We're still kind of in the initial, you know, get into position phase, but I'm kind of just trying to get rid of this minefield, even just dropping artillery down on it to reduce its strength, you know, so we have more freedom of movement, because there's some plains north of this town. We really could move to the north more easily, given that there's no wooded terrain up there, and I'd like to kind of try and hit the enemy artillery, which seems to be a little bit exposed, but there's 2 batteries, so if I try and go charging in against the infantry in these cities, they're going to have a field day with me, because they'll have artillery firing, 2 artillery batteries firing in support against me, and I don't think that will go well as we kind of close in on the end of turn 3 here, kind of trying to figure out what I want to do with my forces here. as we attempt to start gaining some momentum. We don't have any core slots available. I have some prestige. I could buy some units, but I don't have any actual slots available to put them on the map. So I'm currently at my stack limit, if you will, for my forces. So someone will have to die before I can actually get some more troops. But in some ways that's good, because that means I can help build the prestige up, keep those troops up to strength. You know, use that prestige as a reinforcement tool, as it is. Okay, so the enemy advanced against my armor there. They didn't destroy it, but they did push it back a bit. Apparently my Stuka was in range of enemy anti-aircraft fire, and so were my BF-109s, which they just hurt pretty bad. And there you go. Just had my tank unit destroyed there by enemy infantry. So he's aggressive as well. He's not just sitting behind his defenses. He's coming out and trying to hit us. You can see here I'm still trying to take out this enemy unit. We can't bomb it, unfortunately, because if we move in any of those hexes where there's red, we won't be able to get back to an airbase before we run out of fuel and crash, unless, you know, we were to take a new airfield in the in-between time, but that looks unlikely. Great. So the enemy's moving aggressively north of this town. Just kind of trying to figure out how best to respond to him. I could move my armor. I can hit him with artillery first, so we'll go ahead and do that. You just saw we suppressed him and took 3 casualties, inflicted 3 casualties. We've got some armor up here, which apparently can hit him without loss. So I'll move him a little bit north so we can move our infantry up if need be. You can see here with that attack, we actually drove him south. Just trying to figure out which units I want to attack him. So we'll go ahead and use our Pioneer infantry. They did not do as well as they were predicted to do. It was supposed to do 4, did 2 damage, but he's bleeding. We'll go ahead and use our scout cars against him, I think. I'm trying to preserve my artillery. You know, I don't want to destroy it if I don't want to use it if I don't have to. We've got our grenadier unit over here. I'd rather use that Stuka against that tank unit up there in the north, especially since we had to pull our own Stuka out without doing anything against him. So I'm kind of trying to balance my forces here. I don't want to get my scout car destroyed either. So you can see here, we just pushed him back, and maybe we can finish him off with this infantry we have over here. Just trying to remember which one it is. Go ahead and use our artillery against these guys, the other attacking force here. And I guess we'll go ahead and we'll move our... maybe we'll move our infantry, unless there's something else I can do. Oh, we can hit him with our Stuka and finish him off. There you go. So we just finished him off with our Stuka. And now we can move our infantry forward to hit this this enemy infantry unit that we already softened up and suppressed with our own artillery. Of course, our attack is a little bit less effective because the enemy does have that artillery in the city that's firing in support, and you could see that it did do just that. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and use my cavalry to kind of sprint out east, take that airfield. Anytime we can get more airfields that we can, airfields are really important because the Stuka doesn't have very good range. So anytime you can expand your reach by increasing the number of airfields you have, the better. This is kind of a tricky map because you don't have a ton of airfields that you can actually take. You've got one in the north up here on this first objective point, but it's really close to another airfield you already start with. And then you've got that one in the south, and then there's a bit of a gap before you see more airfields, which makes, you know, hitting the enemy all that more difficult because, again, you don't have... your aircraft are really short-ranged, short-legged, and in order to effectively do anything and effectively attack, you can't be spending all your time flying back and forth between airfields replenishing. Especially, there are a couple of spots on the map where a Stuka will actually, it will take more than one turn to fly from where you're bombing bad guys to where you can replenish your fuel. So not right here, but when we get a little bit further east, you'll see that. Meanwhile, the enemy artillery was able to delay us enough on our attacks. We did damage this infantry unit on this objective point, but not sufficiently so that we could take the objective. You can see here they still clung to the city, a little bit of city fighting going on there, and they clung to the city, and we didn't attack the artillery. The intent was to try and quickly swoop in and take the town before they could send reinforcements in, and then maybe he would pull back east. But instead, they hung on to the town, so now what they can do next turn is he can swap his infantry out, pull the infantry out, and put another unit there and make us attack a fresh unit. Meanwhile, our units have taken some casualties and are not quite as strong as they were before. Additionally, I'm going to move my infantry unit out of this objective point here in the forest. I'm assuming or hoping that given we've taken the objective, or not objective, but given that we've taken this town in the south, that there aren't any enemy units that are really close by, and trying to kind of swoop between our small southern force that we set up and our center force. So hopefully we're not at risk for the enemy kind of sneaking in undetected. I assume not. He'd have to be moving really slowly to do that. Meanwhile, you can see up here in the north, we've also identified an enemy fighter aircraft, which we've attacked with our Bf-109s, and we've also, again, used our remaining Stuka to start weakening this infantry unit that has been attacking south. Unfortunately, with only one Bf-109, and the other one is up, replenishing and kind of refueling, we don't have another unit to damage him. So we did a little bit of damage, but not enough, I don't think. He still has 70% strength. So that'll, it's not ideal. Meanwhile, we've got one core spot we can fill and 932 prestige to fill it with. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get another heavy infantry. Well, maybe we'll go with armor. We could go with the Panzer 4F. We don't have any Panzer 4s in the game. So we'll go ahead and pick that guy up. Hopefully he's more effective against these Russian anti-tank units than the armor we currently have in place. It seems like our best bet against that armor has been infantry, and I'd rather have, a really strong armored unit. So I'm hoping that the Panzer IV will be able to go ahead and take care of this enemy threat here. As we move on to turn 4, or the Russian part of turn 4 will be about to start turn 5. But you can see here his anti-tank unit did launch an attack against our artillery. We fired some artillery in support and did some damage to him. He moved in an anti-tank unit into this objective spot. So again, we'll probably be too weak to take that town this next turn. Meanwhile, we're really getting bogged down around this central objective here. You can see he's got a lot of artillery in support. He's got 3 artillery batteries, and we don't have any units adjacent to his artillery that can easily deal with him. Meanwhile, he's got multiple anti-aircraft gun batteries here as well, and they're self-propelled, which means they don't have to mount up or what have you. So unlike most anti-aircraft batteries, which are similar to artillery, the towed artillery, where you have, if you move a long distance, you can't immediately shoot the next turn. His anti-aircraft batteries can. And you can see here, our Panzer IV did a little bit better against this enemy armored unit, but not dramatically so. Meanwhile, I'll try to go ahead and send our fighter out to deal with that, to kill that one, get that one last hit point in on the tank, and it didn't work out. So our Panzer IV did some damage, but not enough. Couldn't finish him. We can go ahead and divert this Panzer from the south north and to try and deal with him. And again, he survives again. Fortunately, we already used our Stuka. I guess we could fly these guys from the south north and finish them off. I just feel like I'm using way too many resources on finishing off units. I want to make sure we destroy them. You could leave them weak and ineffectual, but 1, they still block his path if that's the case. And 2, I don't want to make it easier for him to reinforce himself. So reinforcing an existing unit is far cheaper than building a brand new unit. So that's kind of what I'm concerned about. We did take this northern objective, all right. So we're making a little bit of progress here in the north. I know we're into turn 5, but we are making some progress, it seems, here. And in the south, meanwhile, this thing's turning into a bit of a bloodbath. You can see here the enemy fighter flew away. He attacked us and then flew away. I'm trying to figure out where he may have flown. I'm guessing it's to this airfield, and I'm right. So I'll go ahead and kind of keep pressing him and trying to destroy him, because I don't want them to have anything that can destroy our own Air Force. Those Stukas, I think, are going to be really important to our success in this battle. And unfortunately, I already used my other fighters, so I haven't kept enough fighter strength, and I haven't kept it concentrated enough to finish these guys off. Meanwhile, there is an enemy. I think this is a artillery piece that is mounted up, which would be a really good sitting duck target. But the problem is, again, he's got so many anti-aircraft guns around, I don't want to risk him getting destroyed. So, again, he moved another unit forward to attack us aggressively, and I've counterattacked him and pushed him back. We've still got this minefield, which is really hindering our advance. Now, fortunately, we had some pioneer troops there, which are basically like engineers, I think. or very similar. They're effective against, sort of asymmetrical type targets, and we just destroyed that minefield. So that gives us a little bit more freedom of movement around here. But again, you can see we can't attack either of these infantry units effectively because there's so much enemy artillery surrounding this town. Even if we attack the artillery, we're going up against two batteries firing in support of the enemy. So far things not going great. We are making an effort here to kind of have a diversionary drive in the south. I was hoping maybe this objective would be lightly guarded. It doesn't appear to be the case. So our 1 infantry unit and our tank unit there in the south aren't going to be able to take that town. You can see here I just attempted to launch an attack against this enemy artillery. We did no damage and suffered 50% casualties because of how strong his anti-infantry how strong his artillery defense was. And that's going to be on the easy side because he's got a 76mm battery right there, which also was not firing because it's currently mounted up. So that means it will be even harder to attack his artillery next turn. Took my Stuka, flew north where there was no enemy anti-aircraft batteries, and destroyed the remaining elements of that anti-tank gun. And you can see here we've got a couple of artillery batteries as well as a couple of armored units and 2 infantry units here in the north. So we've got a pretty strong armored spearhead, and if there aren't a ton of enemy anti-aircraft guns in the north, we might be able to drive on east. I moved my artillery in there because I forgot that artillery does not have the ability to take over a objective. So I was trying to take the airfield with that artillery battery, but artillery units cannot take over objectives. With that being said, guys, we're pretty much here at the end of this video. We're a quarter of the way in to this battle. Things are going pretty well up north, I'd say. Even if we can't have a lot of success in the south, if we can drive along this roadway in the north, we can probably do a lot of damage and get to the objectives we need to in time. We still have plenty of time. The south, things are really becoming bogged down, really more in the center. Things are really becoming bogged down. We've taken 2 objectives, but we've got to take, 4 more? And my hope really lies in the north, because in the center here, he's committed a lot of forces, a lot of artillery, and bypassing them doesn't seem to be a very easy proposition without exposing our entire, the southern objective we took, and also the northern objectives would be exposed to counterattack from the enemy if we left him there as well. So we kind of got to keep a large number of troops here to keep him fixed as well, so that he can't take the objectives as we take them and move east. He can't swing north and come up our rear. With that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here. I hope you enjoyed the first part of Round 2 against Agent J23, Round 2 of the 2017 Multiplayer World Championship. We'll see if I have the ability to move into the Sweet 16, into that illustrious 3rd round, and into the final 16 players next time on the Historical Gamers Gaming Network on YouTube. I don't know. That was weird. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, guys, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.